here I am. Had to go get my giant... Damn, this thing looks bigger than my head on my screen. Anyway, I had to get my coffee. So James, the story of James, oh, one of my favoriteest people in existence right now. Okay, in order for me to explain that, let me tell you about me. There is a little strip in my town called Main Street, and for, I don't know, the last 20 years of my life, that's been a place of magic to me. I go down there, I drink coffee, I talk to everybody. Homeless people are my favorite. Young little street kids that don't have anything better to do with themselves, anywhere to go, anything like that. I am just down there. They know my face. Some of them know my name. And they know that if they need some water, a drink, oftentimes if I get a meal down there, I give my leftovers away, or I'll just write something like good free food on the box and set it somewhere. They kind of know that I'm a person that they can gravitate to, that's going to treat them like people. So I enjoy going down there and interacting with these people. I'm a huge story taker. like I wrote in my comment, I'm a gatherer. I like to hear your story. I like to know what got you where you are, how you think, why you think, what's happened, all your experiences. So to me, talking to these people that live this completely different existence from what everyone else perceives to be normal, I really enjoy it. And I think homeless people should be treated like people. And here, a lot of times, you see domesticated pets being treated better than some of these folks that are out there trying to survive on these streets. And especially with the heat being the way it is. I mean, it's 8 in the morning and we're already at 80 degrees. Like, it's gonna be brutal later today. So I try to take compassion and have empathy for the ones that are out there struggling to survive. James is one of those. He's been this town's one of the resident homeless people for about 15 years. And he used to play tennis back in his youth. He was an avid professional tennis player, and he was so good that he was recruited for college, and he was given a full education, full free ride. All he had to do was play tennis and play it well, and he did. He played it really well until he blew out his knee, and then he had to have a bunch of surgeries. Those led to a pain pill addiction, because here in America, that, you know, that's the medical go-to. Oh, you hurt? Here's some Vicodin. Like, it's ridiculous. But anyways, so yeah, he became addicted to painkillers. Couldn't afford those, couldn't get those once everything was said and done, so he turned to other forms of drugs, which just ate away what was left of his mind and his body at that point. So now, yes, he lives on the streets. He gets a little bit of help from the VA, because I believe he served in the war, I think, when he was real young. But it's a choice for him. This is the way he chooses to live. He has opportunities to live in a house. He has opportunities to do a lot of things, and he prefers to stay on the streets. He is not the friendliest of people. Like I said, it took me years to wear him down and get him to open up to me a little bit. And it basically took me being in his space every day and making sure I made eye contact and I said hello and I greeted him and I exchanged words with him. I offered him water a few times. I, just kind of made the effort to show him, hey, I see you. I see you. So he finally opened up, and that's how I know all about the tennis and his history. And he likes to act crazy, and it is an act. He does that because he doesn't like people in his space. He doesn't like people judging him. He does not really care for society too much. And, you know, from where he's at and his perspective, I can totally understand that. So he will yell, he'll talk to himself. One of his favorite things to do is there's a bench that's outside of a restaurant where there's an open patio and people can sit and eat their food. He loves to sit on that bench and take his shoes off and rub his feet because it freaks people out while they're trying to eat. And he just thinks that's the most hilarious thing ever. So he's got like this quirky, mean little sense of humor. But once you start talking to him, he opens up. And, you know, he knows who I am. He knows the names of all 4 of my kids. He knows their ages. He asks about them regularly. If he sees me and they're with me, he'll keep his distance out of respect for my kids, because he knows appearance-wise he's a little bit intimidating. And he doesn't want to scare them, and he doesn't want to get into my space, even though I've told him it doesn't matter. I encourage my children to talk to everybody. I encourage my children to help everybody. They're not going to be scared of you, but he has that faculty. He can, you know, he understands. He's not crazy. He's quite sane. He has his own way of doing things, that's for sure. But I always enjoy seeing him, and yesterday I was sitting in my window and he walked by and I noticed he was wearing a jacket. Now, right now, like yesterday, our temperatures, I think we hit 104 degrees in the afternoon. And so I saw him walking around in a long coat, long pant, you know, sweating. He had stopped at a garbage can he was looking for a drink. And I could tell he was thirsty, so I went outside and was like, "What are you doing wearing a coat? You're crazy." And he laughed and told me, "Well, where am I going to hide it?" So, you know, mentality. He needed that coat. He wants that coat. He knows he'll need that coat in the future, so he's wearing it and sweating now. So yeah, crazy. But anyway, so I ran in and got him a drink. Normally he won't let you do that. He will not take food from strangers. He will not take drinks from strangers. He will not take money from strangers. He will take tennis balls and tennis rackets because he loves tennis to this day. He still goes and plays whenever he can, wherever he can. That's his thing. But he's pretty prideful when it comes to accepting help from people. Now me, I'm different. He's used to me. He's known me for a very long time now. So if I say, "Let me buy you a drink, James," he'll tell me no at first, but he'll let me do it. So I went in and got him a tea and just stood out there and talked to him for, you know, about 15-20 minutes. And he tells me all the you know, homeless people stories, all the situations they find themselves in. He's actually very informative, and he lets me know how the town deals with homeless and how they are treated and what services they are offered, how they get shuttled around from town to town where we live, because nobody wants them to settle. Nobody wants them to be successful. They want them in this constant state of struggle and homelessness, and so they'll throw them on a bus and bus them to another city and drop them off, and then they stay there for a while, and then they're shuttled off to the next city, and so on until they come back here. There's like this whole circuit that they do. I don't know. This town, it's not good with homeless people. But so yeah, I saw him, and you know, his mom is still alive. I always ask about. I've actually met her. I drove out to where he was staying with her a couple years ago because I'd noticed it was winter and he didn't have shoes. He was wearing these little like chintzy flip-flop things, and his feet were going to turn into buckets of ice and fall off. So I had gone out and bought him shoes and socks and all of that and dropped it off and met his mom. And yeah, so he's an old friend of mine, and I just get really happy when I run into him down there. And I don't know, part of me likes to be seen talking to him, because to the outsider eye, I guess I'm a normal member of society, for, you know, if anybody doesn't know any better. I look the part for the most time. And I like for people to see me out there showing him some kindness, showing some compassion, showing that, you know, this person is okay to talk to. It is okay to talk to scary looking people. They're not all that bad, because, you know, he is one of those. Most people will walk by and make a face and skirt way around him so they don't have to be bothered with his unpleasantness and all of that, and that just bothers me. So I saw him. That is what I do in my window. I look for people to interact with. I try to bring some joy, buy somebody a coffee, feed them a little snack. Like, a lot of times, those people down there, they just want to be heard. They just want to be treated like anybody else does, with a little bit of compassion. They want to be understood. They want to share their experience, just like we all do. And, you know, their experiences to me are some of the most colorful, fascinating. They live a life that most of us would never choose and would never understand. And that right there, that's the kind of stories my soul is after. That's the kind of thing I want to know and understand about. And to me, a lot of the homeless or a lot of the street people that I encounter in my day-to-day feel realer to me in here than the more pristine members of society. So I guess I don't know if I adequately explained James well, but he to me is always a delight. And that a good chunk of my afternoon yesterday I did spend standing outside and sweating with him and talking with him. And you know, I ended up I got him his tea. A little bit later I went to see my son at work, and he made me an ice cream drink that I couldn't finish it, so I gave that to James so he could cool off, because as picky as he is of an eater, he does like his ice cream. That's something that's remarkable about him. As homeless as he is, you'd think, you know, he'd be starving and eat anything, right? No. He was a health nut in his better days. And so while he will eat out of a trash can and root around and look for drinks and food, he's very particular about which ones. And he only hits the good restaurants that use the organic produce and the good food. He won't eat fast food. He won't touch pizza. I offered him a slice of pizza once, and he sneered at me until I insisted that it was a vegetarian pizza and it had pesto and feta and all things green and good. And then he was like, oh, okay, I'll take it. So, you know, he's quirky. I like him. I can't help it. I enjoy listening to him. I enjoy letting him rant on about whatever. He teaches me things. He teaches me things about the drug culture. He teaches me things about being homeless and surviving. He teaches me how the city treats people that are less fortunate. He shows me maybe ways that I can interact with the city and try to change that, because I really want to. Like, this town I live in, it's getting bad. And they're just stripping more and more resources for people like him and replacing them with bars and, you know, nightclubs and things that are not gearing any good for anybody. But that is a different video. Anyhow, what else did I see? I just saw lots of beautiful souls, beautiful people that are so absorbed in their day-to-day and their goings-ons that they just get really shocked when they look up and see somebody smiling at them and acknowledging them. And that's what I go for. I just like to feel good and make people feel good. And I write about them in my book, the colorful ones that I encounter. I write their little stories if I happen to go out and collect them. And I make them a little bit permanent. And you know, one day I do plan on writing books, probably in another 10, 15 years, when I'm like 50, 55. I think by then I'll have lived enough of my own accord to actually have things to write about. And you know, if I can collectively keep taking in stories and writing down what I learn, and you know, don't know if you've ever read Charles Dickens, but he's a huge inspiration to me, because his characters are based off of real people that he interacted with and noticed every day, and he would study them and jot down some of their personality traits and then develop a character off of what he saw and make that into his books. I'm kind of looking to do something like that, where I just collect all these stories, including my own, because I have a million. And, you know, everybody has a story. Everybody is the lead role in their own personal movie. Like, you have a personal movie, and you are the star. And your life up to this point has been that movie. So, you know, reflect on you and ask yourself, what would your storyline be? What's your plot? You know, where do you go? What do you do? This is how I tend to view everybody. And yeah, it makes life so much more colorful for me when I can just engage and talk and share and learn, you know, who people are, what makes them do what they do. Anyways, so yeah, now I'm going into like 15 minutes of video. I'm gonna cut myself off, or you'll be here for an hour listening to me. And yeah, if you want to know anything else, by all means ask. I'm so more than down to share all the time. And yes, I do love my downtown visits. I don't know if I'll go today. I should probably stay home and like clean things or something. Spend time with my family. But yeah, normally, you know, like I said, if I get an hour or two, or I'm free to leave and my kids are good and, you know, engagements are not so pressing, then yeah, I try to get down there and just love on the public and love on the people and drink my coffee and keep my vibe continuously just going. So yeah, that's me, and that's James, and I hope you have a lovely, I guess it would be evening where you are. Anyway, I will talk to you soon, I'm sure. I'll see ya.